East Africa Meetup. It's good afternoon here and good morning to everyone else elsewhere. Thank you very much for joining us. Today it's going to be a very interesting day as we do East Africa Meetup Globinar. And thank you very much all for joining from different time zones and countries. I know some of you is very early, and some of you it's already afternoon and in the evening. So thank you very much. Today we'll be hosting two guest speakers, one from America, DC, and one from Kenya here. So as global chamber, as we do it, is about warm introductions, about connecting people of same interests and people doing the same who are interested in the same business. So I've been having a conversation with two people. One is Amanda from DC. Amanda who is the owner of Amanda Factory Food Market in the DC, and Joe Kello, who is also just joined us as a Nairobi chair at the Global Council Board. And we have been having discussion about the personal interests and what they do as business people. And I saw the interest in their business, and I say today we could have a conversation and just see what we can do between Kenya and DC, Nairobi and DC. So I will welcome Joe. Joe is from Kenya. Joe is our newly elected chairperson at the Nairobi Council Board. Joe has experience in different fields, which entails from is the current chairman of Association of Family Business Enterprises. Is the country director of Global Travel and Tourism Partnerships in East Africa. He is also the founder of Boresha Limited, a learning company that creates online educational content and was organized in 2015. He also sits in the board of on the board of SHOFCO, which is an NGO in Kenya. Most of you who are even in the DC or America will know about SHOFCO, having been related to the former President Bill Clinton. Is one of the biggest donors towards SHOFCO. He's also the chairman of CBM Kenya. So I'll welcome Joe to just introduce himself, then I will introduce Amanda as the next guest speaker. Joe, welcome.
Thank you very much, Cliff. Greetings, everybody. I will not say good morning or good evening because I don't know where in the world you are, but greetings to you all. Thank you, Cliff, for that introduction. I don't know what more you'd like me to add, but I will tell you a little bit about what I'm doing now. Maybe that'll give you some, might make some guidance into what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes or so. So I am Joe Kello, and I live and reside in Nairobi, Kenya. And currently what I'm doing is I'm a farmer, interestingly. I am a regenerative farmer, organic and regenerative farmer. And we conduct our activities in two parts of the country in Kenya. One in a town which is maybe 30 minutes about 30 minutes or so from where I am. It's in a southeasterly direction. I know in the US we talk about cardinal point. Here we don't, but it's about 30 minutes from where I reside. And another one which is in the western part of the country, and which is about 200 miles from Nairobi. We grow a variety of crops, mainly fruits and vegetables. Most of the crops we grow are for the local market. And when I say local market, I mean for Nairobi, which is the capital city, but a lot of that produce then gets redistributed around the country. We also grow certain produce, French beans, I don't know, string beans, French beans, I think you know what I mean. But we grow that for export. Chilies and French beans we grow for export. And that produce goes primarily to the European market, to the United Kingdom and to the Netherlands. Some we export directly, meaning that we are the exporters. We have an export license. And in some other of the produce, we are aggregators. So we grow for exporters. So we don't export directly, because in some of the cases, the amount of produce that is required by the client would be too much for one farmer to meet. So for example, the French beans, we export to for example, in the EU, I'm not in the EU, in the UK, some of the supermarket chains like Tesco or Sainsbury's, if some of you are familiar with them, the kind of demands they put on in terms of quantities, quality, and consistency would be beyond a single farmer. So what we then do is we engage in a contract with somebody who then aggregate and sell to the client. But for other products such as chilies and the certain varieties of chilies, the contracts are smaller and we can fulfill those on our own. We have recently gone into value addition. And by that I mean we process some of the produce we make. And the primary reason for that, what made us get into value addition, is because of the amount of waste, what they call post-harvest losses. I'll give you an example of tomatoes, or tomatoes, yeah, okay? What they say, you say tomato, I say tomato, okay. I'll give you an example of tomatoes. In an acre of tomatoes, this can produce up to maybe 12 tons. But tomatoes are a very difficult crop in that they're very vulnerable and they're prone to a lot of attacks. And so what tends to happen is the post-harvest loss on tomatoes can be about 70%. A farmer will typically sell between 30, if lucky, 40% of what they harvest of tomatoes. And most of those post-harvest losses are aesthetic, because the tomato has a mark or it doesn't look a certain way. And if you're an organic or regenerative farmer, it's even more difficult because you're using non-synthetic products to ensure that the tomato, looks presentable. We are aesthetic buyers. We say we eat with our eyes first. So we look at the thing and say, this has a blemish. But that action results in such a high waste of otherwise good produce. And we realized it was not really tenable or viable to continue farming or producing all these tomatoes, and we're throwing away 70%. It doesn't make it's not sustainable. And so we realized that we had to get into something to do something with it. So we started making condiments, jams, sauces, ketchup, sauces, and other things. But we found, whereas that is good, there are other tomato growers, and so there's a lot now. So you get a flooding of all these products made from tomatoes. But when we started talking to some development partners, they told us one of the best things to make from tomatoes is actually tomato paste. And because tomato paste has got very many uses, and it's also very good for food security because it's something that can be given to people at the bottom of the pyramid. And we looked into it. But when we looked at the cost of getting what they call a concentrator, a machine that can do tomato paste in bulk, it's beyond most of us as farmers. And it costs, a concentrator that would be viable costs about $1 million US. So we have aggregated and pooled ourselves into a group of tomato farmers, and we're trying to present a case to certain agencies. There's a group called we're looking at people like the MasterCard Foundation, TechnoServe, that is funded, I think, by either the Gates Foundation, to come up with a solution where we can have a hub where we can put this machine that can be accessible to a number of farmers that can then convert what they produce into tomato paste. I'll give you an example of the country of Nigeria. Nigeria is the biggest producer of tomatoes in Africa, yet they're the biggest importers of tomato paste. And it's really very unfortunate. And this arises because of the situation of not having things that can convert tomatoes into a product, then can then have a longer shelf life and can be sold as well. In terms of trading, there are a lot of initiatives that are coming up. There's the ACCRA now. We're seeing a lot of the US having an interest in around food security, and they're starting to look at getting fresh produce, or at least some form of semi-processed fresh produce from Africa, from East Africa. And we're seeing there are a lot of initiatives around that, and seeing how, one of the biggest disadvantages we've had with fresh produce to the US is, of course, the logistics, the distance. It'll take quite a long time to get there, the perishability of the goods, and also the US's proximity to South America and to Latin America. So the countries that can produce similar products, tropical countries that can produce similar produce in Africa, which have a much shorter journey. But now there are a lot of initiatives to come in, and they're moving away from more traditional things that would be exported, like coffee and tea, and looking at other produce as well. And we see an opportunity, especially if we can come up with products that can be manufactured, processed, which will give it a bit of a longer shelf life that can make its way to the US. We understand fully the challenges in terms of the logistics, the quality, the regulators, the FDA, and all sorts of things. But it is possible, and more we're starting to hear of Kenyan-grown coffee finding its way into things like Trader Joe's and Walmart. There are things happening, and that kind of gives you an idea. I don't know if I've made any sense, but it gives you an idea of what I'm doing and what we are doing in Nairobi or in East Africa here.
Thank you very much, Brother Joe. Thank you very much for the wonderful work that you've been doing. And I'll just let the listeners and the viewers, members on board, to just check on the comments. The comments are very, very good, and I can see very warm contributions from Jacob. He's saying he can be able to help with the MasterCard. He can be able, and also Dwight Wiggler here from Phoenix is saying he can help with the cross-border trade financing, all these kind of things. So this is what we do at Global Chamber. And also welcome Dana from Austin. Thank you very much. I see your comment. I see people are trying to connect. And this is what we do here at Global Chamber. So I will also want to introduce, just before I go to Amanda, I'll say, Joe, there's some things I'll allow you to thank you very much, Larry Parsons from Los Angeles. Thank you very much. And I'll just give some, when you get back to question and answers, the people will maybe want to ask you a few questions, the people will want to contribute, but I'll just allow Amanda to speak about the next 8 minutes or so. Amanda is from DC, and the good thing about Amanda Stevenson, she's been here in Nairobi, and she has seen the work that has been going on in Nairobi, and she knows the environment. She's from the community of the Black Americans in DC, and she's pushing a lot of other initiatives. Amanda, her strength is in the food. She's also a global advisor to ACCRA, and she's the owner of Fresh Food Factory, which is locally at the DC area. Amanda, welcome on board.
Thank you. I am trying to put together, so kind of guide the conversation that I wanted to have with you all. So again, my name is Amanda, and thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here today to actually share with you all, and also to gain some insights. Joe, thank you for all that you've actually shared with us about the great things that you're doing. Women-owned business, we've been around making a difference in the social impact space as it relates to addressing health disparities in the greater Washington area, based in Washington, D.C. So, of course, I'm a little bit biased, but that's kind of where we do the bulk of our work. We've been highlighted on CNBC, ABC, I think even CNN, and a few others. I've done a lot of research and work with like Johns Hopkins Sibley Memorial, working with other agencies and entities as it relates to creating a healthy community and what that looks like beyond the four walls of their institution. So a lot of people ask like what made me start this, and I have to tell the story about my father, and of course history about how I got started. So walk with me, you all. I'm taking you on my journey. So my father, he was my introduction to what sustainability is, what health means, what faith means, but the difference between reasons and excuses. He had a health crisis at my young age, but also he was blind. He was a farmer in a rural area in Virginia, and we had to work before and after school on that farm, helping him out more intensely because he was blind. This is an article written about him. It talks about him and his farm and the great things that he had been doing as a blind man. And we had animals from everywhere. We had horses and goats and guineas and pheasants and peacocks and turkeys and ducks. We even had the moniker for our farm. It was called Ducktown. So at my young age of 10, this is a young picture of me around the age of 10, I learned that food was multi-solving. It was not only a source of nutrition for us, but it became, of course, economics, but also health for him because at my age of 10, he was diagnosed with the terminal prognosis of cancer. He was given 6 months to live, and he surpassed it by 18 years. And coming to DC, I found that a lot of people and businesses, especially where I landed east of the Anacostia River, that was the story of most of the people there. Their life expectancy was some 17 years less of those west of the Anacostia River. So I always say, I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose this career. It chose me. From my grounding in my center of growing up on a farm and my father's battle with cancer and how we use food as a source of medicine for him. And coming into this area in DC, I found that it's not just a food desert, it's also like an opportunity and healthcare desert. So my mom had worked in healthcare as well. So it's a good marriage of their experiences and relationships is what shaped me to start the Fresh Food Factory Market. And we say that we are the nutritional and economic lifeline of the community. And this is Secretary Walsh from the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor. He came to the market when COVID was almost like at its height. I've actually paneled with the Secretary of Agriculture last year, and we do a lot in the community again around the food space, sourcing great foods, and we make sure that we source local, healthy, ethnic foods. And we see that that's important so we could have representation across the board, and we could know where foods come from, and we make sure that people who have been minoritized have their brands represented. So brands from the country of Africa, South Asia, the Caribbean, Central and South America, you don't see those cultures represented in a lot of big box stores. So we wanted to actually change that. We work with a lot of independent brands. We do a lot of training in the community. We see what we do. We use food again, not just as an anti-hunger strategy, but an anti-poverty strategy. You may have seen on the last screen that I kind of zoomed through. We are incubator market. So again, working with independent brands, different purveyors and foodies, people make product and sell it at our location, and we're opening a few other locations so they can make it on site. So we train a lot of local residents on how to offer different certifications. It's really about changing the health and wealth of the community and keeping the wealth in the community to further the change of the health. So we want to really change the trajectory of our community. This is some of my great team, 4 persons. There's more of us, but not all represented here. We do food distribution weekly. We don't believe in wasting anything. Again, I grew up on a farm, so it was, of course, you feed the people. So we give food first, and we do compost. We do give food to farms, so we don't have any waste from our locations, and we are furthering our impact throughout the DMV, mainly because we see in a lot of areas where they're slighted or called food desert or food swamp areas, they have like a large inventory of ABC stores or stores that sell alcohol, tobacco, cigarettes, drug paraphernalia, what have you. So we don't want that in our community. That's not the desire of that community. That's just the built environment that had been created. And also, of course, lack of healthy food, lack of health insurance sites, etc. So this is one of the projects that we're actively working on now in Southeast. So it's currently one level. We're building up. We're doing a vertical expansion, 2 levels, and we're working again with Sibley Johns Hopkins and a few others, and bringing more food in healthcare spaces east of the river. This is another location. This is 166 residential units, partnering with a developer, and I'm self-developing our own space here where we would have, a kitchen, incubator, and market, and still working with different community partners and institutions to make this happen. But we believe in building community again beyond bricks and mortar, or bricks and mortar and beyond. We are doing some expos this year. We have 3 that's lined up, and this is where I invite all of you to participate as you can, how you can, whether it will be you or some representation of you or another entity that you know and love. And with what we're doing, we're partnering with different nonprofits and we have a trade, healthcare, and like food expos. One is in July, others in August, and then lastly in November. And the first expo that we're doing in July, it's about, again, trading, working directly with folk. Some may be in this meeting now. And again, I'm inviting others who may want to be a part of it. We're teaching people how to actually buy direct from Africa, learn their buying power, learn how to buy direct. And to me, this is the new Afrofuturism. That term is thrown around more culturally, but I like the social culture economics of what that could mean. So we do have at this site where you see here, a lot of people do gather. This is a new location, and Steve Jobs' wife, she's a developer. She's a social developer. She has the Emerson Collective, and she is one of the developers at this site. And there's over 25 businesses that are represented here and do some great things for the community. And this is where we're going to kick off our space. And we're definitely inviting other vendors to actually come. The second, this is some of the work that we've done in the past. I have an NGO, and I started with that when I first came to DC back in 03, and we've taken youth to Africa and Nigeria a few times, and they shadow physicians from Howard University, Walter Reed, and this is one of the young men, and he was he enlisted in the service to serve the U.S. After the tenure with us, and he pursued medicine from that great exposure that he had with us. But we do a whole host of trainings. But in this expo, we're going to be further exploring innovations and technologies and sustainable practices and tools in shaping public health and safety. I do work with some branches of community safety, like police departments in the area too. So whether it's a problem with truancy here, making sure youth have healthier alternatives, different job opportunities. Again, we use this as an anti-violence strategy. So they are going to be a part of the happenings that we have in August at that expo. The last one is going to be a little bit more upbeat. All of them are going to be fun, cultural, and very informative and educational. But this is a holiday day party. This is one that I've done before, and these are like some clips of that. And what we're doing is, of course, holiday season, we get family together and everybody communes with everyone that they love and possibly care for. And around the holiday seasons, whether it's your coworkers or whomever, your neighbors, we're just sharing. And in the time of sharing, we should be sharing healthy and ethnic foods. A lot of people are used to just one diet and a few things that are usually on the menu. So we want to diversify. And of course, as a Go advisor, I'm a buyer. So buying direct is about economies of scale, bringing the food over here, making sure people have it to actually taste, making sure people know how to include it in their menus and are able to actually purchase it from our shelves. And with the expansions that we are doing in DC and in Baltimore, I didn't have that slide there. This is really important for the growth and the sustainability of our community.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the beautiful presentation. I see a couple of questions from Stephen Austin, where she's asking, very impressive, and she's saying, are you government funded, or how are you getting your funding? I think those are some of the questions people like to know, because it's quite impressive the kind of work you're doing. And my second input will be to you, Amanda. How would you, especially when you talk about value addition from what Joe is doing, how could you be able to bring the products that are non-perishable, or which take a longer shelf to your stores? Those are the reasons why we are here to connect and able to see. And thank you very much also for inviting us, Nairobi Chamber, to your expo in July. Thank you for the invitation. And we are looking forward to join you at the expo live in DC.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Can I add to what I was asking? So one, I wanted to say this is very impressive. Amanda, you're doing phenomenal things. Great job. And many times when people addressing food insecurity, there's a lot of other layers that's beyond that, because I'm looking at that on my end, because it's not just food, it's also health. It's also, giving people the skill sets that they need. And how do you sustain it? Many times we'll give food and direct them to one place, but how do you sustain it and help them be successful, or to be able to sustain on their own? So great job, great job, great job. And then the other question that I had for you is, how are you getting your funding? Is it a government funding? Is it grant? Is this all coming out of your pocket? How are you funding this great initiative?
So I think it's a mixed bag, and I thank you for that question. Again, starting this, right, it was nothing but like prayers and credit cards to actually make it work, because a lot of people didn't really buy into it, especially where I wanted to strategically place our location. Well, the human capital is not there, financial capital is not there, community can't afford what you do, right? So it just took savings, some budgeting and credit cards to actually bring the stores into fruition. COVID did have its blessings, which really opened people's eyes to really see this as a pandemic, and it's a global one, and everybody around the world is, some communities or in all countries are facing a hunger crisis. So, and the problem is sometimes, or most of the time, they don't have immunity boosting foods. So a lot of people started to listen more. Foundations started to. I wrote more grants. We focused, honed in internally. How can we improve our bottom line, keep things going? How do we get more foods out there? So yes, federal and local government have been strategic partners, different institutions. We partner with healthcare insurance agencies and the like, different institutions, what have you. Today we cater, so we cater for different developers that bring in development in our community. We may be a face in their development a little bit later, but this is a warm introduction to their team and the community, and this is how their funds are best used in our community. It's a mixed bag of public and private funding, and some of my personal funding to actually get started, but it's growing.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Do you have a grant writer, or is this all you doing your own grant writing?
I think that's a feat for a lot of people. I've written my own grants. I started an NGO back in 2003, and that's kind of by choice or by force. I had to actually do it. And some of the other agencies that I worked for the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, which is funded in part by SBA. So with that, all of our locations we had to write internally. So that, again, was background, just experience in doing it. And I have been introduced virtually to some grant writers because I can't do it all myself. So I could definitely share that with you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone who has a question? Thank you very much, Stephanie, for the question.
Yes, yes, Cliff. Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to some. This is incredible, as Stephanie was saying. And Joe, thank you for what you shared. I had some questions for you first, and if I can just shift back to you, Amanda. But you were talking about perishable goods, in particular about tomatoes in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And happen to know that Nairobi, from firsthand experience, is a very fertile land, and especially when you get up to the higher elevation. So 2 questions. I'd like to, one comment, I like the way you pivoted and didn't waste the tomatoes. And you said, what else can we produce with this that the community or the world needs? And tomato paste, it became one of the answers. So how do you export your products, and how do you identify your potential customers? Because Stephanie and I just did a Global Chamber Bermuda Triangle import-export 2 weeks ago. And we met someone in Bermuda who works in Bermuda, but also owns 400 acres of land in Sierra Leone, and he's farming it. He doesn't know what to do with the products. And we want to bring him on board with Global Chamber and connect him to people like you, to people like Amanda, to people like Dr. Sarita, and to Jacob, who specializes in this as well as working with nonprofits. So that's my question for you, Joe. I know it's kind of circular.
Yeah, okay, no, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So the export market for fresh produce, I say most of the fresh produce that is exported to the EU, okay, to the European Union. Predominantly the Netherlands and other countries in the EU, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. As in most cases, if you look, okay, I'll go back a little bit. If you look at the biggest exports, the commodities that are exported most out of Kenya traditionally have been tea and coffee. And in a previous life, I worked for an American company. I worked for Cargill, which is headquartered in Minneapolis, right? You all know Cargill. And in Kenya, what we used to do was supply chain logistics for the tea industry. So tea is one of our biggest exporters. But the tea that is consumed in Kenya is probably of the lowest quality. So Kenya has got very high quality tea, but the black tea, what we used to do in Cargill was we would get the tea from the farmers. So Mombasa, which is a port city, is next to the Indian Ocean, is where the tea auction is, okay? And it's the largest tea auction in the world. What we would do is when the farmers would have farmed and send their tea to Mombasa, we would store the tea for them. And then we would go to the auction, wait for the buyers, and the buyers would then tell us where to send, which part of the world they would send the tea in, and what kind of teas to blend. The funny thing is, the tea goes to the UK. That tea is then, further value addition is done. It leaves as black tea. It goes into many kind of things. It goes into flavored tea, herbal teas, all variety of teas. And in some cases, some of that tea is even brought back into the country as an import. So we found that we are not really, the value chain is still very much in the hands of the global corporations, right? The big tea players. Some of those tea players even own the fields in which the tea is harvested in Kenya. So the local farmers really don't have much benefit from that. And this is the whole thing about the export, is that we're trying to find a way in which the local farmers can also derive a premium on what they grow. With value addition, if I sell a raw product, whatever it is, the maximum amount of money I'll make on it is maybe 5 to 10%. But I'll bear all the risk. You know, you have to deal with all the variables that come with farming, the weather, the pricing is not in our control. And that's true whether the product is consumed locally or export. The intermediaries, the people who trade the product, make a lot more money. And that's why they're encouraging a lot of the farmers move up into the supply chain. Let the product leave at least semi-processed. With the tea, I used to see the tea leave. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. We'll take it offline. I don't want to take up too much time, but
Okay,
I've got my
Caricho
tea right here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a local tea company. But the point is that the opportunities, and now with AFTA, sorry, I was kind of rambling, but with AFTA now, there's opportunities for Africans to trade amongst the continent. There are many things changing where we're seeing products or produce going to other parts of Africa. So even Sierra Leone, you know, who knows, with this thing that is an African initiative, the countries are starting to trade with each other, which is a good thing.
Thank you very much, Joe. I think as Stefan has said, you can get a contact on the chat group, and you guys you can exchange the number and discuss the Sierra Leone perspective. Maybe we can host you again and you tell us about this new development in the next African meeting, in the future.
People confuse us all the time. That was Dana. We're sisters, but that was Dana. That's okay.
Sorry, Dana. How are you, Dana?
Quite well, thank you. Great, Globinar.
Thank you very much, Dana. Anyone? I'd seen Jacob raise an issue, and maybe Jacob could say something, and then we could have more questions.
Oh,
Jacob, are you online?
Yeah, no, thank you, Cliff, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Yeah, no, I just see a lot of ways that I can connect my network into both of the leaders, Amanda and Joe. Amanda, my sister and her family live up in Northwest DC, so I'll definitely be having them start to show up and support. But there's also which I think this could tie in with both of y'all, the movement for community-led development. Their secretariat is based in DC, but have a global network of local organizations, and their primary growth since they started was in Africa. So they have a very strong local network throughout the continent, and it's growing. But yeah, just excited. I mean, you need good people and kind people working in food systems, and so that's the only type of energy I felt from both of these leaders. So glad that you brought them in. Thank you, Cliff, and thank you, Amanda and Joe.
Thank you very much, Jacob.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Larry?
Yeah, thank you. Been listening a lot lately to listen, and I hope to connect with Sarita since we're both here in Los Angeles. The reason I'm listening this morning is I've talked to Cliff briefly about what I'm doing, but I have an update for Cliff and something new for the rest of you. I got involved with Pepperdine University here in California, and they have a master's in business administration program. And they have a process by which you can apply and have one of their executive MBA classes take an assigned project from you and develop it and give you a piece of really high quality work to see what you can do to make your business grow. And the title of my project was marketing and distributing my product to the continent of Africa. And it's a patented fuel conditioner that goes into diesel and gasoline fuel. And I was shocked with the and impressed with the quality of the work that came out of it. And they all zeroed in on about a half a dozen countries in which to focus. And we're just starting that process right now. Later this morning, I have a meeting with a gentleman in South Africa to continue the conversation. And I'll be speaking to someone later following that about possibly trying to attend the Africa Trade Summit in Dallas, Texas next month. So, but our product is very unique, and it's available, and it's just now getting started. And we're looking to expand it because we know it would really help out a lot of the countries in terms of sustainability, because of it has a tremendous effect on reducing air pollution. And we know how bad the air is in a lot of the sub-Saharan countries. And this product could have an immediate effect on reducing particulates and NOx while saving on fuel at the same time. So we're just looking for contacts, and I hope I can follow up with you, Sarita, since you're also in Los Angeles, and maybe we can have a really productive conversation about what this MBA class has given me for guidance, and you can maybe have some further thoughts on that.
Thank you very much, Larry, on the update and what you guys are doing in terms of reducing the carbon emission. And this is, I think, one of the global goals currently being discussed in terms of reducing the fuel emissions, and it will be interesting for Africa. And just to mention, perhaps this year we are doing a global summit in Nairobi, and it will be hosted in Nairobi. I hope Doug will be able to update you guys so that you guys can join in whenever you can, or possible. Even those who will be able to wish to travel down to Nairobi, we will welcome, and we will be able to host you. This is one of our programs that we are planning for yearly, and it will be our signature end of year event for Global Chamber Nairobi and Global Chamber Global. Next, I've seen Dwight online, and he's been on the export and import. I would like him to just give us an insight a bit, maybe 3-4 minutes.
Thanks, and then I can be on here for a minute or two. He's got to run, but my focus area is on cross-border trade financing, so I'm willing to work with importers and exporters on how to navigate those waters in terms of getting third-party financing, either private sector or public sector related funding, and that there are some groups that are focusing on Africa that might be able to bring into the discussion. But again, my area is working on how to help the flow of trade between two parties and deal with those financing risks, either short term or longer term, and that as the case might be. So I've already connected with Joe, and we're going to have a subsequent conversation on that. But open to have discussion with anyone who needs to have a financing requirement in that to help their flow of trade, either coming out of Africa to elsewhere or from other countries into the market. So I put my contact details in the chat, and open for discussion with anyone that would like to have one.
Thank you very much, Brett. I'll now open the floor to. I've seen Doug has joined us, and I'll let him speak. Doug, are you there?
Yeah, Doug's muted. There we go.
I am, Cliff. Thank you very much. I loved this conversation today. It was chock full of different opportunities. This was my first time to hear Joe, and I love hearing more about his capability and the opportunities there that he's seeing. Congratulations to you, Cliff, and to Joe, and to the advisory board there in Nairobi. Yesterday, I met with Thunderbird School of Global Management. They have a once a year leadership team meeting of advisors from around the world. So alumni had come in till late last night. We were there at our headquarters at Thunderbird School of Global Management, which happens to be in Phoenix. But as you know, Cliff, and the rest of you probably know, Thunderbird also has hub cities around the world, and one of them is in Nairobi. It actually covers all of Africa for the school. There were quite a number of leaders from Africa there last night, and then we're continuing the conversations over the next couple days. So what inspires me here today in this conversation is, again, the focus on opportunities. And last night, and hopefully over the next couple days at Thunderbird, the view of the global tribe that despite the world being somewhat scary, lots going on that's not necessarily good, that amongst all of that, that all of us are doing the right thing by focusing in on our own businesses to be successful. We're doing the right thing by counting on each other and reaching out to each other to get help and to get to support, and also to learn about not just the opportunities that are out there, but to finish on the opportunities that we have on the plate. It's so important to carry through the initiatives like what Andrea talked about and what Joe talked about. And, Stephanie and Dana are outstanding leaders that have lots of ideas, but one of the things that makes them so great is the fact that they carry things through and get things done for not just their own businesses, but for members of Global Chamber. That's what we're dedicated to do, to listen and to help, to keep asking those key questions that we always do. Who do you want to meet and how can we help? No, as a member of Global Chamber, we're not perfect. We're doing our best. We are very dedicated and hopefully thoughtful and helpful for our members. And events like this and conversations like this are helpful for us to learn about the opportunities and also where we can help. Thank you, Cliff, for the opportunity today for this conversation, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Director. I'll just give anyone from East Africa just to say any ideas from East Africa. That's Somali, Tanzania.
Yeah, I think.
I saw Rebecca coming in.
Yes, from Ethiopia. Hello, everyone. Greeting from Addis Ababa. My video is not working, but just to say hi and a great conversation. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much. I hope next time we'll be, as we host, we'll have more business opportunity and discussion from that area, Ethiopia. It's very interesting for me personally.
Sure. Very well. I just jumped in to join, and I was hearing the great things. We'll do that. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Sarar is here as well from Somaliland. So thank you, Cliff, for leading the East Africa conversation. And maybe she can jump in or maybe not. But it's a very important region geopolitically, but also economically. Thank you.
Everybody.
All right. Is Sarah online?
Yeah, it's Miss Rare. Hello?
Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. And it was a great conversation today. I really am amazed. There is a lot of great people who visited around the world, It was a great idea.
Her voice is quite low.
One thing.
Cliff, if I may say one thing for 30 seconds about Global Chamber, is that okay?
Yeah.
Just a minute. We are trying to get hold on Sarah from Somali, but I think she has a problem with the speaker of voice.
Okay.
You will be next after Sarah. Sarah, are you still there? Okay, I think we are losing Sarah because of time. Maybe you can take it over, Dana, and then.
Happy to do my input, but you're doing a fine job taking it over and leading. So I'd like to remind those of you who are already Global Chamber members and those of you who are guests that we host our Global Chamber Author Series once a month. And what we've decided at the beginning of the year is to feature authors 1 month and to do a workshop primarily on tips that would help you in your writing and marketing and publishing process. So tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time, which allows the continent of Africa, Europe, and parts of Asia to be on without it being 12 or 1 in the morning, join us. We have an incredible speaker who's going to be talking about how to use WhatsApp for marketing and sales. If you're not familiar, there is a WhatsApp app and then there's a WhatsApp business app. Go ahead and download the business app before tomorrow so that you can be soaring and marketing your book or connecting with other authors or learning about coaching services that I offer for authors too. But I put the link in the chat, sign up, invite others that you know that are interested in writing. And if you've written a book, reach out to myself or part of our Global Chamber Author Series core members. Gloria Peterson, Doug's part of it. Alex Devereaux, and a few others. Dwayne Canova. But join us tomorrow. Sign up. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now just hand it over back to Doug so that you may finish and close the meeting today, sir. Thank you.
Can I add one thing before Doug closes? Is that okay, Doug? It'll be less than 30 seconds.
Oh, it's all good. And then if anybody else has anything, please let's hear.
Okay. This was a great talk and discussion, and it's the reason why it's so beautiful. I have an event coming up on April 30th, which talks about food insecurity is a global issue. And so this was such great, I mean, it was really great information, just warmed my heart. So I would love for people to participate in that. I will drop the link in there, and I will be calling a couple of people that was talking today to participate. So Doug reminds us that we have the wealth of resources within Global Chamber, that we don't necessarily have to reach outside of a Global Chamber. And today was the day that proved him right. Thank you.
Well, I partially agree with that. But I also recognize that the value, of Global Chamber is that we're growing, we're aspirational. We hopefully all have a vision to be bigger and better, and that means including so many more people around the world as part of our tribe. There's so many more that are capable that we'd love to include. So we continually reach out. Many of the warm introductions we make are to people who are not in the tribe. The group I met last night at Thunderbird, I was kind of, how did I feel? I felt more optimistic about it. The fact that few of them had heard of Global Chamber. I was able to go into the dean's office. There was a big party going on in the main pub upstairs from our headquarters, and then the dean had like a super group of alumni in his office and out on the balcony of his office. So I was very fortunate and lucky to be invited to that. And I was thinking, wow, all of these people don't know Global Chamber. Very few of them did. One was a lady, Cecilia, from Mexico City, who runs the global communications for Takeda Chemicals or Takeda Pharmaceutical. But it's a Japanese company. They selected this Mexico City-based leader, a Thunderbird graduate for many years, as the global communication arm. And I was thinking, first point, let's get you involved. And she did agree to be a speaker at one of our Mexico City events. So that was awesome. And then secondly, that is the globalization that we're reaching for, where that kind of a dynamic where a Japanese company could hire a Mexican leader for their global communications, not just in Mexico. So let's keep up the progress. Thank you, Dana, for your comments. I see, Dana, you have your hand up. Is that a remnant hand or is it something else that you've got? And while we're waiting for you, Dana, on that, Jermil, thank you for joining today. Anything going on in your world? Rolando Martinez, it's been good to learn more about what you're doing. And so I look forward to learning more. Dr. Jackson, you've been referred to several times here in today's call, and for good reason. You are amazing in terms of how you help companies be successful. And the last conversation in the Globinar that you did on supporting service-based exporters was one of the best ones at Global Chamber. So we've eternalized it as a blog post, and also you can, if you haven't seen that, please go to the blog at Global Chamber and watch that if you have a business that's service oriented or if you have an exporting business, period. Definitely make sure that you know Dr. Jackson.
Yes, definitely. And I heard the latter part of your question, Doug. I'm sorry, I had a call that came in. What were you asking?
Oh, you had your hand up, but it looks like it's down. But now I see Jermil has her hand up. Hi, Jermil. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Going well. What's the latest in your world? What should we know about? I know one of the things that's so fantastic about you is that you're involved in so many different things. I know World Trade Week is coming up in New York. Undoubtedly, you're involved with that. Jermil is a customs broker based in one of my hometowns, kind of the border between Queens, New York, and Long Island. But she's helping importers to the U.S. from all over the world with food and animals and all sorts of products. What's going on that we should know about?
Well, a lot of things is just people, same thing, kind of look at your paperwork before you buy anything. So I actually have someone contact me today. I spoke to them about a month ago, and they didn't review their paperwork. Their shipment went to the wrong port. So we have to clear it before it arrives to that port, and then they're going to try to get it moved. So always review your paperwork. I actually do a lot of documentation review with people. A lot of people just don't reach out to me until after they have a problem. So it's kind of hard to help them sometimes if I find out last minute. So I'll do the best that I can. But same thing all the time. I'm actually clearing dead insects now. That's one of the products I'm clearing now with one of my clients. And I should be clearing wine soon. So lots of different products I'm learning how to work on. So there's always new things.
Fantastic. Congratulations on that. I also see Charles Lay, who's on Global Chamber Chicago Advisory Board. You've been doing some really interesting work in the technology space, also in East Africa, but more on the southern side. So thank you for your work based out of Chicago, but working across Africa. If you'd like to say a few words, please just unmute yourself and go ahead. And then is there anything else from anybody else that people would like to share? Thank you, Sarita, for the message. And hearing none, would you like to have the final word, Cliff? Thank you again for pulling us together today. It's been wonderful.
Well, I don't know how much to say after you have said it all. I'll just say maybe I'll send my shout out to our Nigerian brother, me Sanusi. He was around. Just say a few things. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Oh, Nihi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice conversation. Always good to be here. And lots of collaboration expected between us and East Africa. Cliff will have that conversation later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. And one of yours is already on the board, and I hope she had updated you. She told me that
Naomi.
you have something running about advocates.
Yes, Naomi, that'll be Naomi. I'm sure she's on the call, though
Yes.
she's not spoken, but I guess she's on the call. Yes, Naomi and I are always engaging, and we'll have the information later. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you guys do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for today. And I think the next East Africa and Africa conversation is in about a month. It's probably with like the third Tuesday of May. And so we look forward to seeing everyone again. And then during this week and every week and this month and every month, we'll continue to put programs together. If you're a member and you want to see some things on the event side, and certainly if there are people that you wish to meet or other ways that we can help, please reach out. I don't think I saw, I see Elisa is here and Cesar is here as well. Cesar, would you like to have the last word? Are you able to speak?
I am. Hi, Doug. Hi, everyone. I just came back from a trip, so just catching up today. But it's always great to to see members interacting and giving them opportunities. I've been following up the chat. So sorry that I connected with Larry and Jacob, with Amanda and everyone. So I'm following up on that. I'm happy to see that those interactions taking place. And congrats, Amanda, for what you're doing there in the DC area. And thanks again, Clay, for your leadership today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Very
Take
much.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you, everyone. Thank you for joining.